Hello, I hope you are doing well. So today is our day 10 of doing 50 SQL problems on Leetcode to be able to crack any SQL based interview. So our today's problem is about calculating average time of process per machine. Before we go to the problem, you need to know that we have the word average in our problem statement. The word average means the use of aggregate function is must in our problem. And how we can use the aggregate functions? We must have to use the group by clause. So here is a hint for us in the title of the problem. We are going to use the average function and we are going to use the group by clause in the solution of this problem. So now let's move to the problem statement. We are given a table called activity which have 4 columns: machine ID, process ID, activity type and timestamp. Machine ID, process ID, activity time, and time. These three collectively makes the primary key. Okay. So machine ID specifies the ID of any machine running in the factory. Process ID is the process being used by the a specific machine, and activity type is when the process start. The activity type it should be have the value as start, and when the process ends, it should have the value end. Activity type is nm. Okay, so timestamp is a float type column which holds the record when the process started and when it ends on a specific machine. Okay, so now our problem statement is there is a factory website that has several machines each running same number of order the processes. Write a solution to find the average time each machine takes to complete the process. What we have to do is we have to calculate the average time each machine takes to complete a process. Now the time to complete a process is end timestamp minus the start timestamp. For example, let's say we have a machine with ID 1 which is using the process 1 which started at time 2. Okay, and the machine with ID 1 process 1 ended at time 3. So what is going to be the time this machine took to complete this process is 3 minus 2 which is 1. Okay, so end time minus start time. Okay, so this is what we are given. The average time is calculated by the total time to complete every process on the machine divided by the number of processes they were running on. Okay, now we know that the average is actually the sum by the total number of elements. Okay, so let's say machine 1 was running 2 processes, one with ID 1 and one with ID 2. Okay, start and end. Let's say the time for process 1 was 3 to 2 and the time for process 2 to start was 4 and the time to end was 6 seconds. Okay, so what is the time taken by process 2? 6 minus 4 which is 2. And what is the time for process 1 to finish is 3 minus 2 which is 1. So how we will calculate average? We are going to sum the time taken by both processes and how many processes we had. We had 2 processes in total running on machine 1. Okay, so that's going to be 3 by 2 which is 1.5. Okay, so this is how we are going to calculate the average time of processes running on a specific machine, and that's what we have to calculate. We have to round the result in 3 decimal places, which means we are going to use the function round in our solution. So what we have got yet, what hints we have got yet are we are going to use the average function, we are going to use group by clause, we are going to use round function. Okay, now let's go through this example to completely understand the problem. Let me snip tool this table and explain this how it is going to work. So we have this table and how many columns do we need in the result? We need 2 columns in the result: machine ID and process ID. So let's solve this problem to see how our result should look like in this problem. Okay, so we have 2 columns in the result. That's machine ID and process time. Okay, now we have 3 unique machine IDs here: machine ID with 0, with 1 and with 2. So we are going to have 3 rows in our result. Now the next thing is we need to calculate the average for each process, for each machine, and for that we need to get how much time each process took on a machine. So for that, like, we have two processes, so we are going to divide, means taking average with two, and for against each we have start and end. Okay, so what we have to do is subtract end from start. Okay, so if we do these calculations, like 1.520 minus 0.712, what we are going to get is 10 minus 2 is 8, and then we have 1 here. 1 minus 1 is 0, and then 15 minus 7 is 8. So for process 0 on machine 0, the time it took is 0.808. Now let's calculate the time for process 1 on machine 0. That should be 4.120 minus 3.140. So that will be 10 minus 1 is 9, 0.890. 0.980. So this is what we have got for both of these processes. Now what we need to do is we need to add both these values. Okay, so we have subtracted these two items, and what we got was 0.808, and for this we got 0.980. Now we have to add both these values. When we add these values, what we will get is 8, 8, 7, 1. So we have got 1.788. Okay. Now for this value, we need to calculate the average while this is the sum. We have to divide it by 2 now, and we will get 0.894. So the average time for process 0 we have got is 0.894. We will repeat the same process for machine with ID 1 and then with machine with ID 2, and what values we will get is 0.995 and 1.456. So this is how the problem works. Now if you observe this, what we were doing was getting two different rows from the same table, means performing inner join, or left join means self join. Okay, so we were applying join on the same table. Okay, so now let's start writing the solution. We have got around 4 hints. One is using average function, then we have to use group by clause, then we have to use joins on the same table, and we have to use round function. Okay, so the set from, then we are going to have join, and when it comes to join we need to apply the on clause, and then we are going to have group by. Okay, now one thing that we are sure about is we are going to apply group by on machine ID. Okay, now what we need in the result is machine ID and a column whose name is going to be processing time. Okay, processing time. Okay, now the thing is, whatever we are going to calculate, how the way we are going to calculate processing time, that is going to be round about to 3 digits. Okay, so here we have applied the round to 3 digit. We have renamed our column. Now we need to fill other things like from activity table, and we have to apply join on the activity table. So we are having the same tables, so we need to use the names for them so that we could distinguish between it. So here we are going to use a1.machine id. Now again here we are going to use a1.machine id, and then for join we usually apply the join on those columns which are common in both. Okay, either through foreign key references or through the same means, any means. Okay, so what we have to do is where a1.machine id is equals to a2.machine id. Okay, and a1.process id is same as a2.process id. As you know, we have 3 columns that are collectively making the primary keys. Okay, so that's why we are going to have the AND on 3 columns, means the on clause is going to use 3 columns. And the third thing is where a1 dot activity type is start and a2 dot activity type is end. Okay, so if you have noticed throughout the explanation, we are comparing the rows where machine and process ID was same, but for the one row the activity type was start and for the second row activity type was end. Okay, so for second row we are having a2 and for first row we are having a1, and then what we were doing was subtracting a2 from a1. Okay, so what we are going to do is subtracting a2 dot timestamp from a1 dot timestamp, and whatever we are going to get, we are going to calculate the average from this. Either we can apply the sum and then dividing by the count, or we can simply apply the average function on this subtracted result, average of this. Okay, so that's it. Let's run the query to see if it works or not. Okay, so if you notice, we have passed the test case. We have got exactly the same results. Now let's submit the solution to see if it works on all the test cases or not. So here we are, we have passed all the test cases and we are done with today's problem. Let's meet tomorrow with another problem. Okay, bye.